Am I being emotionally abused by my parents? Many kids find themselves asking this question at certain points in their lives. Even adult children can't avoid this question. Emotional abuse takes many different forms, but a lot of people think that it only has one definition. They think that if they were abused earlier in their lives and their parents do or say the same thing at a later point, they would still be abused. I found out that this isn't necessarily the case, at least as far as my life story goes. When I was growing up, my dad was the biggest jerk in the world. He would tell me to help him clean up the garden, pull up weeds, and dig stuff up in our front yard and backyard. I hated that. I grew up with my grandparents when my parents moved abroad. I didn't see them for 7 years. When their immigration petition was approved, I moved to the US. It was a culture shock for me. I was only 4 years old when they left and 11 when I saw them again. It might not seem like a big deal today because families do split up for economic reasons, or for whatever reason, parents must move away, and their children are left to the care of grandparents. But it had a heavy impact on me because when I saw these people, they were strangers to me. I had to learn how to love them, and it always rubbed me the wrong way when my father asked me to do stuff around the house. A lot of that had to do with authority because I was a teenager, and you know how that goes. You're rebellious, questioning authority, and there were a lot of questions given the story of our relationship. There were a lot of raw nerves, miscommunications, and misunderstandings. Between 13 to 18 years old, I thought my father was abusive to me. He was always gruff, and I thought he was the biggest dictator in the world. But as I got older and became a father myself, I began to see my father in a different light. When I was younger, I thought my experiences with my dad qualified as emotional abuse. He would be frustrated and call me all sorts of names, but as I got older, I realized that you're the last to be recognized when you're a father. Everybody's dependent on you because you're the breadwinner, but all you get is a tie on your birthday. And that's assuming that people even remember your birthday. It's as if they always assume that you would be there holding up the home. You've become so familiar that they take you for granted. Mind you, I'm not complaining. My family's everything to me, and I am happy that I can provide. I know I'm doing a good job when my wife and kids assume they will be provided for every day. It gives me a tremendous sense of pride that they don't have to worry about anything. That's how I protect and provide for the ones I love the most in this world. This brings me back to my feelings of emotional abuse when it came to my father. When I look at those days when we were a struggling immigrant family in California and my dad had to work 3 to 4 jobs, I realize how much pressure he must have been under. It wasn't easy providing for me, my mom, and my brother. He had to sacrifice a lot. He was an engineer back home, but when he and my mom moved to California, the only job he could get was part of the cleaning crew at an industrial waste plant. Imagine that, a well-respected engineer at the top of the food chain for large corporations he worked for in the old country, and now he was a glorified janitor. Talk about eating your pride, manning up, and doing what you have to do for however long you need to do it because your loved ones depend on you. And as I understand my father and walk in his shoes, the more I realize that many things that happen can easily be forgiven. I wasn't exactly the easiest person to get along with because I had many issues. Looking back, I think he had so much patience. As much as possible, he allowed me to stretch my wings and figure out my way just like any loving parent. That's why I have to do a double take when I think about emotional abuse. You have to look at who you were at that point in your life and where those other people were in their lives. When I think back to those times, I feel gratitude instead of feeling that I was abused and mistreated. My dad would come home very tired after working his multiple jobs. Of course, he was grumpy. He wasn't exactly filled with choice words. But you can tell from his calloused hands that he gave everything for his family. And the more I think about those childhood memories, the more I respect and love that man, and I'm happy he's still with us. He's very old now. Every time I speak with him, I can only feel his love and concern for me, his grandson, and his daughter-in-law. Parental emotional abuse, as far as my experience goes, is contextual. The problem is we can read into memories our present problems. Either we blow things up, or we minimize them. I've been guilty of both. But a little bit of perspective can go a long way. Love takes many different forms. And sometimes, the best thing somebody can do for you is to take you by the scruff of the collar and tell you, hey, shape up. I'm not big on looking back at my life and thinking about what I could have, should have, would have done. Life is too short for regrets, but it would have helped if I had listened more to my father if I was being completely honest about it. Could he have used better words? Absolutely. But the roughness of his delivery doesn't take away from the deep concern and wisdom of his advice. If I had only followed half of his advice when I was younger, things would have turned out differently. But given how I struggled through life to accept myself, I wouldn't change a thing. Thank you for watching this video. Please support us by subscribing and clicking the bell icon so you will get notified of our latest videos. Please share this video with your friends and family. Thank you.